Rent. Welcome back to Give Me Rent. We are at the end of December, about to head into 2026. Before we get into this past year of media, I think it's a good time to talk about what's to come. Because we all just saw Avatar Fire and Ash, and something that was just as hype as the movie was honestly the trailers that were attached to this thing.
Yep, agreed. I mean, where do we even start? Odyssey looked amazing as always. I mean, the hype, I hope it lives up to it. It's Christopher Nolan. I mean, there's no way it doesn't. I mean, Supergirl,
I mean, yeah,
Bone Temple.
let's start with, we all saw Avatar. Well, we saw it in a separate theater from you, and I asked you immediately after you saw it, did you see the Odyssey? Did you see, Avengers Doomsday? Supergirl as well. I will say, let's start with Supergirl because I feel like that's a trailer we'd all seen already, but this was our first time seeing it on the big screen. I will say, I think the trailer played very well. But I do think like it does seem very reminiscent of James Gunn's other stuff, and it's not even a James Gunn film. I will say I don't want them to make just like a safe movie for the second DCU film. We're getting Clayface following Supergirl, and obviously I will say like after the hype of Superman, it is really good to continue that story. Crypto's coming back. Supergirl we met in Superman. I think the trailer was pretty solid, and it definitely is selling an exciting film, but I don't know if there's anything in it that really stands out like oh, like I'm really excited to see that. I mean, Jason Momoa's Lobo was in the trailer for a second. That's exciting, obviously, but I don't know how much he'll be in the film. But he's obviously, been wanting to play this role for over a decade now, which is insane. He thought he was originally playing Lobo. So it's awesome to see that they got that done pretty fast. Like, what did you guys think of the trailer? Like, did you guys think
So
it
I
looked like what parts did you guys think actually looked really good? Because I will say the
so
whole trailer it played well, but nothing really stood out for me.
so honestly, like I'll be real here. The thing that I thought stand out was she showed a lot of personality in this in the trailer. You know what I mean? Like we see her for a split second in Superman, and she's obviously not sober. She's been partying, and you see some dialogue exchange with her and whoever she's about to fight in the bar. But she's sober in that, and she shows some personality, which I do like because Supergirl is a character that does have a lot of personality, and I think throughout this film it will get showcased correctly. And back what you said, like yes, it does definitely feel like a Guardians of a Galaxy vibe from the trailer. I mean, I hope that's not the case, that it's, a copy and paste of, that exact feel, but at the same time, we don't have a ton of superhero movies in space, and because of how well James Gunn did with it, with Guardians, I wouldn't be shocked if somebody did take inspiration from it, because at the end of the day, that is kind of the blueprint for in-space superhero movies.
That's a very fair point. I mean, yeah, the Guardians trilogy is definitely the pure example to like this is how you do a superhero movie in space. But I mean, Supergirl, I do like that they are making key differences between her and Superman. She should be a very different character than Corn Sweat Superman. Like, I feel like in past iterations, especially the only live action Supergirl we got, she's literally just Superman as a girl. So yeah, she has to
Mhm.
be a very different character, and I think Millie Alcock actually is a really good choice for the
Yeah.
casting.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to say is, funny enough, like Momoa, I think him not being highlighted in this trailer is a good thing. I mean, way back when, before he was ever rumored to play Lobo, like you guys remember, I always said that he should have played Lobo. This would have been a great character if it ever, ended up in Snyder's universe. Thank God, it didn't, because now we're getting him. But I think he will be very vital in this for the future.
I was saying, nothing really stood out from the trailer, but I think I do agree with you guys where it does look like her performance is probably going to be like a big highlight of the movie. Like
100%.
you could tell from the trailer that she's very distinctly different from Superman. You obviously have a lot of familiar stuff that you see in the trailer that is from the Superman film, but yeah, this does look like a very different movie from that. It just looks very reminiscent of other James Gunn films, and it's not even James Gunn. It's just I just immediately like I think everyone's making comparisons to Guardians of the Galaxy, obviously, like you just said. But yeah, I think overall it does look like a fun movie. But with the DCU and especially what James Gunn has said, what he wants it to be, I expect him to just be hitting us with amazing films every time. I don't want the second film in the universe to just be a safe movie where it was like, oh, it was okay. Like, I'd rather them really cook and make something genuinely incredible. Because again, they're only doing at this point, one film per year. Yeah, at this point in the comic book genre, I'd much rather
a director take a swing as opposed to just making a cookie cutter comic book movie because people are kind of bored of them. Let's be real. Like it's getting to a point in this genre where like we need fresh takes on these characters. We don't need to see the same thing over and over again.
Agreed, but which is why I think James Gunn doing the established universe is smart because we're not getting everyone getting their own intro movie. Like, yeah, maybe Supergirl might need it because no one's that familiar, but there also might be a bigger plan. I mean, the fact we're getting, and I'll be honest, is like Green Lantern's a household name. Whether people want to talk about the Ryan Reynolds movie or not, he is a household name superhero. He is a very big part of the superhero genre, and the fact he's getting a TV show instead of a movie, and yeah, it's Jon Stewart, but it really makes you think. It's like, okay, this is gonna be rated R. Then you have Clayface, which is more horror based. You have Mr. Miracle. We just finished Peacemaker. We have Creature Commandos with Captain Atom now, remember, and Supergirl. So we have so many different directions in these universe.
I mean, you are right too. Where like the fact is, yeah, like the second movie we're getting is jumping right off of Earth. Like it's just going. Like I do respect that. Where yeah, it's going to be a completely different movie for that matter as well. Like it's not going to deal with like the things Superman had to deal with. Like Supergirl, I like how like yeah, we're making a distinction with the character, but we're also making a distinction with like what she does as a compared to Superman. You're right, Dylan. Like she's not just a copy of Superman like she's been presented to be. So yeah, that is exciting. Where like it does look like this is also an adaptation like of a graphic novel.
Yeah.
Where that's an interesting fact to me. Where it's definitely. I mean, they've straight up said it. Yeah, it's adapting this well-known graphic novel about Supergirl. I've never read the graphic novel, but I know a lot of people love it. But I do think that's interesting going forward for the DCU. Its second film is literally an adaptation. But yeah, I think it looks overall decent. I just definitely want the film to be a little bit better than what this trailer represented. But that's because Superman kind of set the bar kind of high.
Yeah, and honestly, probably better they don't give us too much. I mean, the one thing I think we are spoiled with in this generation is we find out everything. We find out cameos early. We find out
Yeah.
if what the we find.
Leaks are absolutely insane. And like also we saw it with like literally the lead up to, the Doomsday trailer. Like nothing is safe anymore. But like it's so bad to the point people theorize like Marvel just doesn't even care anymore. They want the leaks to happen.
Not even just that though. I mean, let's go to Multiverse of Madness for a second. Dude, how early did Krasinski get leaked? How early did Professor X show up? Like, it came out months before, and we were just almost expecting it was just
Yeah,
like,
people just
well,
be even without images, people just see like scripts now. And like
yeah.
nothing is safe.
And it gets to a point now where everyone expects the trailers to show everything. Like, oh my God,
Yeah.
like, and we talked about this so many times. Why is the trailer showing this? Oh, I already know this person's gonna die now because the trailer. It's like I don't want to know who dies. I don't want to know what's gonna happen. Like,
Yeah.
if it's a story being retold or rebooted, like obviously you're gonna know it. There might be a little twist on it, but this isn't a normal story where I'm gonna know the what's gonna happen. Like I don't know if Lobo's a big part of this. I don't know what Supergirl's gonna do. I don't know what other heroes are in here. She's in space. We can run into Adam Strange for all I care. Like
Yeah.
we don't know what's gonna happen,
I
especially with
hope
James Gunn.
I hope they really don't show a lot from the movie because honestly, perfect segue to another trailer that was attached to the beginning of Avatar, Avengers Doomsday. What did we do? We like that teaser? I don't even. What did you think, Brandon?
I honestly, it's just so weird seeing Rogers and it's just almost no context. Like we
Yeah,
know
like it's kind of what you're saying. Like, why would they reveal that?
I don't like that at all. I hate it. It's like you're not building hype at that point. You just keep telling us who's going to be in it. It's like, why don't you want people surprised at this point? That's the beauty of it. Like, yeah, you guys have been taking pretty bad hits because of some of the content you have released as a company, and that's your own fault for doing that. You made the decisions to make this whole plan and webpage, and
Yeah.
that's the issue. You can't be like, oh, this phase is going to happen. If you do not have a concrete plan, and like, they've had a lot of botched projects over the past 10 years. I could talk about She-Hulk. I could talk about they fumbled Moon Knight, some of the movies, but I'm not. But they release everything, and it gets to a point where it's like, how do you have all this hype for this movie? It's going to die down quickly.
Yeah,
And
it's weird that they still have like clearly so much confidence just how this teaser is presented, saying Steve Rogers will return. Like didn't Steve Rogers' story end? Like,
You
what
know
is
what's
going
even
on right
crazier to me?
now?
Do you know what's even crazier to me? Like, yeah, they probably have a plan for it, and they're doing, two parts for this, but why even show us that? Wouldn't you want people to talk about it currently, what's going on? Oh my God, he's back like in theater, when theaters it comes out. No, like why are you releasing this so early? It gets to a point where the trailers reveal so much that makes it meaningless. Like, what's crazy? When all this stuff was happening, when Marvel was at its peak, everything was getting posted, everything's getting talked about. they just dropped the bomb on Steve Rogers coming back. And yeah, it's not because of the cease and desist stuff, but like nobody's really talking about it. And I'm on the superhero side of TikTok, Instagram, on everything. It does not get brought up. It gets memed instead. Freddy Fazbear will be in Avengers Doomsday. SpongeBob and Patrick, like no one's taking it seriously. And I think they're not digging themselves a hole, but they're going for tactics that just don't work. And I could be completely wrong, but that's how I'm perceiving this. It's
No,
consistent.
it definitely screams desperation. And I'm not even saying Doomsday could be bad, all this or that. I think there's a couple reasons why they chose to put Steve Rogers as the first teaser for this movie. Number one, Disney needs to ensure this makes $2 billion. Where they're like, okay, we need to reveal things. You're right. It's a cheap ploy, but also we don't know the full story of the movie, and there's been a lot of rumors about what it could be. I do think this trailer is saying Steve is going to be a main character. I think that's what this reveal really is at the same time too. So I do think the credit I will give them is that I think they know it was inevitable that would know he was going to be in the movie before it
And
came out.
don't get me wrong, I like Chris Evans as an actor. I liked his character as Captain America, but it's like we just went to Brave New World and it was awful, like
Yeah. Like,
Brave
why
New World,
bring us a new Captain America if you're just going to revert back to the other one?
unless you're just gonna kill him off in a very glorious and different way that's more Captain America like. But at that point, you revealed almost the entire cast on the chairs for hours. It was such a massive
Yeah.
reveal, but now look how quick it died down. Like I'm gonna say this, as somebody who we talk about this all the time with our favorite heroes. Obviously I'm more of a DC guy, but I love Marvel because of what Spider-Man inspired me as a kid and still does to this day. I want more Spider-Man content at this point. How are you not going to utilize your best character? It gets to a point where it's like you're kind of just milking Captain America. You're milking cameos. You're milking this, and it's like, and everyone thinks all the Avengers are the best superhero team. We all know this, and I will say this as a DC fan, it is probably the X-Men, and it has always been the best chemistry. And I don't know if Marvel's going to utilize them enough. I'm
I
kind of
mean,
not
I'm not
worried for
sure
this
either
movie.
because I do think, we've had so many send offs of like the Fox X-Men verse. With like, do we need another one? Like, are they all just going to get killed? Like, I know also like with what you're saying about Spider-Man, like, I will say, like, I'll give him a little credit, like, and I'm kind of hoping I'm right. I kind of hope Spider-Man's just not in this movie.
I agree. I
Like,
don't want him to be.
you're saying you want him to be the forefront. I think you got to give him this new movie coming out, Brand New Day, to
Brand new day.
really fully establish him as this hero that no one knows who he is. We have a brand new slate of Spider-Man where you could bring him into the street level and eventually propel him to actually, yes, help the Avengers again. But I think he's got to earn that again. And I think
100%.
they understand that they went an interesting route with him earlier, but they gave him a clean slate now. And I think they understand they got to make him more the traditional Spider-Man now.
When I said I want more Spider-Man content, I really didn't mean like for Doomsday, but just in general. I feel like it's just a character that they're not utilizing properly. Like out of Holland's movies, like we talk about this all the time, it's like Far From Home was just such a big negative hit on the character, and I feel like
Yeah.
people. It's the same thing
It
as
did some
like yeah,
damage.
like The Dark Knight was phenomenal, but people's perception of Batman is completely different than what it actually is. And I feel like a lot of people perceive Tom
Yeah.
Holland Spider Man differently, which is why he got compared so much to the other two, is because it lacked a lot. And I think, Spider Man is your most popular character. He is probably the most popular superhero in the world currently because of media right now. And, I don't want him in Doomsday. We all agree on that. And he might end up in there. Most likely will, just knowing how Marvel is. But are we going to get a teaser for like something else now? Like, I don't like that they just consistently just pump little stuff here and there to like give us a little bit of a dopamine rush for their movie to build hype. It's like, why even do that? Why even release Steve Rogers is going? Like, the hype's going to die down a little bit. You're trying to keep yourself relevant currently, obviously, until the time comes when the movie drops and does, it's going to do well. But you have stuff like Stranger Things dropping, It Welcome to Derry, and it's overshadowing Marvel, which is crazy for me to even say. It is, though. Currently, those two are
I mean,
over.
Marvel is just definitely taking a bit of a back seat. Even they released two movies that this year that I think were pretty solid, and it still kind of feels like, yeah, they're not that as relevant as they once were. I mean, obviously they aren't.
Yeah, and I love Marvel, and I want this movie to do well. I really do. There's a lot of great characters coming into it, but just talking about the trailers and stuff, it's like, what else are you going to give us in the future that we don't already know? That's the other question that poses. What else are you going to release to us that we don't know? You
Yeah.
can't. There's only so much you could tell us. It's a what? It's a 2.5 hour movie, 2 hours for whatever it
We'll
is.
we'll have to wait and see with Doomsday. But yeah, for this being one of their first teasers, I was definitely
I'm not happy with it.
it's definitely kind of I get why it's being memed so much. But on the other hand, there was one other trailer attached to Avatar that I am so excited for. I mean, it wasn't even a trailer that they attached to this movie. They had a 6 minute preview for the Odyssey attached to Avatar, which showed an entire, or maybe a partial bit of the sequence of them, the Trojan horse sequence. Um, it looks absolutely phenomenal. And obviously, actually, there was an actual trailer released today for the Odyssey, so we have a little bit more footage as well. But this definitely seems like one of the most distinct. It's going to be the most distinct Nolan movie. He's breaking new ground and really trying stuff that he's never attempted before. I mean, there's a shot of a Cyclops in the
Yeah,
trailer. That alone is just insane to see in a Nolan trailer.
100%. I mean, he's. I will say this. I mean, it's probably my favorite work out of his, like out of anything we've seen in our generation. It's really been him consistently, just for me in my top two. And seeing him tackle Odyssey is interesting in a good way because I'm so used to him doing more grounded work, if that makes sense, compared to other creators in Hollywood. But
Even if it's sci-fi, he tried to get grounded in a
yeah, he
reality.
does. He definitely does. And I'm very excited to see this. The trailer is phenomenal. I feel like it did not, and we talked about this on the phone last night. I feel like it didn't give me enough, where it really got me excited. And that's the beauty of certain trailers.
They could show a 6 minute prologue, and it's still like it wasn't
It's
like
it
too
still was.
much or anything, and it just showcased like, I mean, he's obviously it's Christopher Nolan, but it just
Yeah.
I think I was really surprised by how they showcased action in it because that's always not been his strong suit, filming action, and I was locked in on this scene. It was intense. Yeah, I mean, I think back to like Batman's fighting in the Dark Knight trilogy. It's not incredible, they didn't, they don't, even though he's like a super badass ninja or whatever, they don't really showcase that too well.
Yeah.
But yeah, the action that they did showcase in the Trojan horse sequence did seem very dynamic and super fluid, and unlike anything he's ever done before. This like huge army sequence, a lot of extras, and also you got to note that like he is working, old Hollywood standards, using extras, real locations to do this massive scale story, and I couldn't have picked a better director to really tackle one of the most timeless stories ever. Literally,
Yeah.
it is going to be, I mean, another event when this movie comes out. Think about when Oppenheimer came out. It was definitely helped by Barbie, but like there were so many people that were just like, let's go see Oppenheimer. It got his name alone. I think he's the biggest director right now, where his name alone gets people into the seats.
Bro,
But now it's like the
Barbenheimer is
cast is also just unbelievable.
people said Barbenheimer for a reason. I mean, it wasn't just because of Barbie; it was also because of Oppenheimer. And like
Yeah,
the one thing I definitely want to say about him is just I know he hates AI, and this is going to be him. Like I think next couple projects besides Odyssey, because I think he's going to tackle some crazy stories. Him tackling Odyssey is awesome. I'm so excited for it. But
yeah.
seeing him now, like you said, like real locations, like really going all out. I really want him to do so well where it puts kind of AI to sleep a little bit in the industry.
Yeah,
And
I really think like he is the golden standard for how you should make films.
it looked
And I
beautiful.
mean, I think he's an insanely respected director. I think everyone looks to him. Like he really is at the top right now, top of his game. And yeah, coming off of Oppenheimer, I'm super excited to see what he does now. I mean, this was a very interesting choice, but I also think like kind of right for him, where it's like he's doing something new.
Yeah.
I think like Nolan, like himself, like not single handedly, but like his name does show. It's a great, showcase of why people still love to go to theaters. You need to see the new Nolan film in theaters because
I'm going to see it multiple
it
times.
doesn't hit like that at home. It just
Yeah.
doesn't. And yeah, of course, just like Odyssey, or just like Oppenheimer, I'll probably see it a few times. You got to really digest his films. They're long epics, and I'm so happy that we still get these.
Yeah.
And I'm very happy that yeah, he's pivoting. And I will say, I think the Odyssey and a few other films next year, there's so much coming out, are going to be big tellers to studios of why, yeah, people still want to go to theaters. But luckily, I think this week, with the release of Avatar, we were shown that, yes, people really want to go to theaters. I'm very happy to say that Avatar Fire and Ash, seemingly at this moment, it's, the Monday after it came out, but
at least internationally, it's doing very well box office wise.
Yeah.
Maybe not as good as The Way of Water, but it's on track to be pretty successful. I'm really hoping, you say what you want about Avatar. There's a lot of, haters, people to say what they want, but I really respect these films. I really want to see this make $2 billion. And bring on Avatar 4 and 5 because I respect James Cameron and his vision. And, listen, he gave us some of the greatest films of all time. Let the man, do what he wants to do. And I'm not going to say Avatar lives up to his other films, from the 90s and the 80s, but these are really amazing films to especially watch in IMAX.
Yeah.
Insane. Our theater was gasping and in awe for a lot of the sequences. It was an incredible time.
Yeah, and definitely want to say, about watching it. It felt so seamless, man. Just seeing the Navi with the humans, side by side. And definitely in the first one, it's 2009. And seeing the difference in quality, and even 2009, bro, everyone was shook with how beautiful that movie was. And I feel like each time it just gets better and better. And now, we saw this morning there was an announcement that Avatar 4 is set to release in theaters in 2029. That is confirmed this morning. Who knows how much better it's going to get now. I hope they don't use AI and it butchers it a little bit. So that's the one thing I'm hoping. But this movie was beautiful, man. I'm so happy that this is another franchise that came back and is doing successful because, it's very hard to come back, I guess, from, I wouldn't say the dead, but to come back from a hiatus. A lot of franchises do that and they don't do as successful or they just,
A hiatus.
what?
But yeah,
Oh,
I do agree with you. I mean, the technology has clearly evolved so much, and it really is kind of just the best CGI we've ever gotten. I mean, these are the most immersive films maybe ever. It's cool seeing James Cameron, you still feel his, old school filmmaking in this movie. It's just done with, all these CGI characters in, a super technical way. But I still feel like his filmmaking still shines through that so much. And you
no,
still kind of feel that old school kind of vibe with it. Would you agree?
definitely agree. I mean, I'm not going to say it's movie of the year, but I definitely think this is a movie people have to see.
I think this is one of the best theater watches of the year. And I will also say, I love how these movies just don't feel like Disneyfied. And a lot of people had said that after this came out. They're like, yeah, it feels like a Disney movie. No, it
No,
definitely
it
feels like
didn't
a
at all.
20th Century Fox movie.
It
I'm
definitely
very
did.
happy that Disney has not really changed that. Especially, I even heard they wanted to remove a few scenes, especially the scenes that really lean into few characters, having sexual tension. And the studio wanted to remove instances of that from the film, but no, it's a 3 hour 15 movie, and I will say, no time is really wasted, and some things even move pretty fast, especially these scenes that I'm talking about.
Yeah,
So it's weird to say that, they wanted to cut certain things like that, where, no, I really don't think a second is really wasted in this film.
and I agree with you. And I even said it last night when we talked about it was, I felt like there were some scenes that they should have taken more time. We went from immediately talking, they just cut right into action. Sometimes, that works. It's worked in a lot of movies. It's worked in Star Wars. It's worked in a lot. But to me, there was a couple scenes that was I wish they took a couple extra seconds or even a minute to kind of.
It's crazy to say that with a movie that has a runtime of over 3 hours.
The one thing I will say is my theater was locked. Everyone was locked into that movie.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
went to a late showing, and you would think, oh, you're tired. It's a 3 hour movie. It's I went to an 8:30 showing, started at 8:50, and everybody was locked in. That movie had me hooked. And there was a lot of time where there wasn't action in the movie, but the story, the characters, there wasn't as many downsides to this movie as honestly I thought there were going to be. This movie was phenomenal. It blew me away.
Yeah. It really, I do hate the hatred that a lot of people have towards these because they're just Cameron could have been making other movies, but what are you talking about? This is exactly what he wanted to make as a filmmaker. How are you going to get
an
mad about
original
that?
franchise that is making so much money and is just doing so well. Why would you want that? It was a pop culture boom when it came out.
And it's literally no one's doing it like him.
no,
No one is literally presenting this much care towards certain aspects, especially world building and CGI. That's what these movies are showcasing. Yes, I will say the story is a little thin. I'm not gonna all three of these movies has a decently familiar story that we've kind of seen before, but I think everything else just being so top notch and how immersive it is. You're right, Dylan. It's I've never really witnessed movies that just are able to get you this locked in for insane runtimes.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, obviously Nolan films, but they have a different vibe where you're like, this is like we're watching a nature documentary on Pandora every time with intense battle sequences on top of it. And actually, I will say, for those that argue with, the story, the characters, I was actually pretty taken back by the decent character moments in this film,
Yeah.
especially with Kiri and Spider and Jake Sully and Quaritch especially.
Yeah, I think the way, or at least the dynamic they present between Quaritch and Jake in this one, is something that we've never seen before in the franchise. It's super interesting.
And even the
When you,
dynamic within the
yeah,
family too, like developing, like the biggest thing I want to say is the conflict between. I'm just gonna say because not everyone's gonna remember my name, but I'll just say Mr. and Mrs. Sully. I'll just make it easy like that for some people.
Neytiri,
But I know, but some people just I don't know. We talked about this. Some
the
people don't
Sully
know the
clan.
characters' names, but within the Sully clan, it's almost making like it's not by blood. It's more like identity. And she doesn't like humans right off the bat. Like she has said that, and Jake continuously reminding her that he is human no matter what. Even though now that he's Navi, he is always going to be human. And just seeing how she has to kind of subconsciously remove that hatred from herself.
Yeah,
Now,
I honestly didn't even mention Neytiri. Like, very great performance from Zoe Saldana in this, and I think that something these last two especially have dealt with pretty well. I mean, it's really just the third line from leading two into this. They've dealt with grief in a very interesting way.
yeah,
And I think they've been able to do that, especially with like the tree of life on Pandora and how you can talk to ancestors in a way. But it still makes, loss very important in the story for people. And it doesn't forget that. This is really watching, how such a big loss like affects such a close family. And I will say, that's probably the deepest this movie gets with like, exploring, themes of, actual humanity within aliens. And I think that's very interesting where, yeah, you seeing aliens be more human than humans. That's always, been a major point of these films.
Yeah, I mean I think the thematic sense of these movies is they're all very similar.
yeah.
But yes, they do deal with different kind of levels of emotion and kind of what the characters are going through. But like, yeah, I kind of get when you say like the story is a little thin because yeah, it really does feel like the same story just three times in a row, just presented a little differently. But yeah, I really think it still shines through, especially just on a technical sense where it's just like, wow, like I'm looking at some of the greatest, so definitely some of the greatest CGI, but some of the greatest shots in cinema. Like it is insane what Cameron was able to accomplish in this trilogy.
100%. And like I think there needs to be some conversations on where this trilogy falls. I mean, it's not beating the original Star Wars trilogy. Lord of the Rings, like
Oh,
those
it's
are.
definitely a good trilogy, though.
It's a great trilogy, though.
If
No,
you disagree with that, I just think you're wrong.
I definitely think it's a great trilogy. I'm just saying what those, which literally changed cinema and film, Avatar also did, but in
Oh yeah,
different ways. And I think conversations need to be held on where this fits. Does it fit top five, top 10, sneak in top three? It's gonna be preference, but at the end of the day, like seeing now that it has a trilogy, there has been nonstop like influence on other projects or just even inspiration. Like the fact it came back so 13 years later and just did so well with Way of the Water. Now this, I mean,
yeah.
I'm
I really
excited
do
for
think
it.
like, especially CGI wise, like this is what Marvel wants their movies to be like,
Yeah,
especially visually, because yeah, he's just it's kind of it's tough because you compare it to other CGI and it's just not nearly as good because yeah, they spent so much time on it and it's so meticulous, it just looks so good. And yeah, it's really just like the peak of what CGI can accomplish, and it's amazing. I'm so happy that we ended off the year with such a high note because let's be real, this was one of the best years for media in a long time. Like it was nonstop this year.
Yeah, I'd say a lot of negatives, behind the scenes, especially, in the entertainment industry. Well, not even fully negative, but a lot of, you know, scary things, like, happening behind the scenes. But I will say, on a front of, the media released, I agree. It's been a stacked year. There's still a ton of things I have to say. Yeah, so what were your guys' favorite, not just, brand new release of the year, it could be TV or film, but what was also your favorite thing you saw in theaters, during the year?
ah man, I mean, there's a lot of great picks this year. I mean, as much as Lilo and Stitch didn't live up to hype, I mean, it was just great seeing childhood movie, but Changes wasn't a fan of. But the one that stood out to me is probably gonna be based off the movie itself, not the theater experience, because we can all say the Minecraft movie for that, but the actual experience of the movie itself is probably going to be Sinners or How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah,
I
those are.
mean,
I mean, Sinners definitely. I actually think Sinners, because me and Noah saw it 3 times in theaters,
yeah, I
all
saw it
very
twice.
different formats. And I gotta say, yeah, every single time people were just loving it. It is such a good watch in theaters, and I'm sure it's gonna be just a great rewatch from now on. Because yeah, definitely one of the best of the year.
Yeah, I saw it twice in theaters, saw it at home once. I mean, it just, I can't get enough of it. And just the originality of the film it was just beautiful. Music, everything. See, like,
Yeah,
it's just nice to see a new take on a vampire movie. Also, I feel like it got to a point where
100%.
vampire movies were just corny, and now
Yeah, it's
seeing
like
it revived.
Coogler had his own take on what like vampirism is, and like yeah, it's like he built it into culture as well, which is I thought was a very interesting just like approach.
Yeah,
Yeah, I also kind of loved how like the vampires were a backdrop to it, where like essentially like the story and its themes are really about something else,
yeah,
but it used vampires and other aspects to create a very different story than we've seen before, and it was a great follow up to Wakanda Forever, which is just what a jump, for him. I'm honestly excited for him to jump back to Black Panther 3 after Sinners, even because yeah, he showcases that like. And I will say, I've always kind of defended Wakanda Forever. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying Sinners is a lot better. I think that every single time this man works on a movie, it's just like Nolan and all the greats. Like he just has such meticulous care and craft to making movies that when you're watching Sinners, it genuinely reminds you why you love going to movies. Like
yeah.
it's such a great film. That's why I saw it 3 different times because every single time it was just as exciting. Such a great movie.
Yeah, honestly, like Brandon, you probably just picked like I think these two are really close for me for like movie of the year. So I would just probably go like it's Sinners probably inches it out a little bit, but like I really did enjoy Weapons. I honestly enjoyed Weapons more than the average person because yeah, like what a great year for horror movies. Like we're getting like these are big films. We're seeing the new voice of horror, especially in the new filmmakers that are working in this space.
Yeah, I
Uh,
think something that I loved about Weapons is that it had so many sequences that are just so well crafted for the theater experience. Where like there were a lot of times where people were just gasping, or like especially the scene where the lady enters the car to snip some hair from one of the characters. I think that was just crafted so well to create that reaction. Our theater was going nuts, especially all the Gladys like shots too. Those stuff were had very
she's got
fierce
her own
reactions to
project
them.
too. She's got her own project too, correct? Or am I wrong?
Yeah, it's rumored that Gladys, because they removed her chapter from the movie, she originally had her own chapter.
Yeah.
It's rumored that they're going to make an origin movie for her. Kreger has said that he's interested in doing it. It's just that it's not officially like greenlit yet.
Yeah.
I gotta say, I actually really like the decision of getting rid of her own. I feel like the mystique behind her just added so much to like how scary she was. Like, where does she come from? Like, that is just like she just clearly like I feel like that added so much to the horror of the movie. Like, who is this clearly old, ancient, potentially creature? Is she even human? Like, you don't know. Like, it's so vague, and I feel like that adds so much to the movie.
Yeah, I'd honestly at this point I think I agree. I think I'd rather them not go in and make a prequel, especially knowing like how she gets defeated, like
Yeah.
just ripped apart. Like it's like yeah, like okay, well, she was cool in the movie, but like we know she goes out kind of like hysterically, like in a way. It's supposed to be played kind of for laughs. So
Yeah.
it'd be interesting to see how to make her scary again, I guess.
I
But
definitely
I think Weapons and Sinners were both horror adjacent great films. There's been so many good just movies in all genres this year, I think. And I think I'll pick something that isn't horror related. And honestly, I think this really is. I just saw it the most recently, so I'm not going to say like it's interchangeable with Sinners for me. I think for number one because I really really loved it. But Marty Supreme, it's just I was able to luckily see an early screening the other day, and I'm not going to say much because I know you two haven't seen it yet. But wow, like Josh Safdie can just craft such an intense story, but also such a story that just it makes you like it's a story that takes place in 1952, but the themes that he's conveying in it are so relevant and really so relatable to people our age. It follows, someone chasing his dreams at 23 years old. We're, at that age. It's a very relatable story. And I think that Chalamet, I'm so happy. Like, I'm going to say I'm so happy, but I think a lot of people have said this. They're kind of happy he didn't win for Bob Dylan because I genuinely think, like, he's got this one. Like, I will say, he's been, in the marketing and all the news recently of how, like, he does speak very highly of himself. I will, there's been a lot of people saying, like, why does he do that, all this and that, but he definitely, like he said, for the past 7 years has been putting out insane performances. And this movie he's cared about, and he's also producer on the project. He's been crafting this performance since even his time, filming the first Dune movie. He had Marty Mauser in the back of his head. And I think the marketing for this movie has been insane. It's been such a great joy to watch. I've seen the Marty Supreme blimp overhead. Awesome stuff from them. Even just the last lead up in the last week, his collabs with Drewski, SD Kid, all that.
Yeah.
It's bringing in, people from our generation and showing them that, yeah, like this is a movie that you guys should see. I think that without screaming it in our faces, you know what I mean? It's hard for me to really put this into words, but I think he's done such a successful job showing people our age why, yeah, you should be going to see a movie about ping pong.
Yeah, whoever's the head of marketing at A24 needs a raise for this one because
I
they went
definitely
crazy.
want to point out something just because we're looking back at the year and just the pattern I've recognized. I know I've brought this up before, but it almost feels like this was a year of revival. Meaning, like, I feel like horror got revived in such a big way where it really took the spotlight for the future. I mean, we could talk about what? Monkey. We could talk about
Even the
Weapon.
superhero genre as
Well,
well. Like
I'm gonna get to that, but then
yeah.
we had It Welcome to Derry, which we've talked about so many times on here, but it just dominated. I mean, Stranger Things, if you want to put in the horror category a little bit,
It deserves it now for sure.
I think they've all dominated and revived a lot of these franchises. I mean, Predator coming back with Badlands, and I thought it was amazing and doing so well. What's the other Predator movie that dropped, the animated one? Why am I blanking?
Killer of Killers as well,
Killer
2
of
in 1
Killers
year.
was amazing. So we get two of that. Alien, didn't do great with the TV show, but it definitely is reviving that name. Video game movies because
Big year for anime as well.
anime did
Yeah,
very
we
well
can't leave that out.
in theaters. Like JJK just came out of the movie and everyone's talking about how great it was.
100%.
It's just there's definitely other projects. I mean, How to Train Your Dragon. We got live action reboots are coming back. Lilo and Stitch wasn't my cup of tea, but it did get a decently positive feedback. But How to Train
It's
Your
the
Dragon,
third highest grossing movie of the year.
Yeah.
And it was meant to come out on streaming,
Yeah.
which is just, I haven't seen it yet. I can't attest to how the film came out, but that is a crazy stat.
and
That
How
a
to Train Your
movie-
Dragon is going to be getting more releases live action. And
Yeah, they greenlit the second movie, right?
yeah, they did. So now look
That's
at
crazy.
all these projects that are kind of getting revived and doing well, and it just makes you realize that this year for marketing. I mean, even Jurassic Park came back, and that wasn't great for me, but some people did really enjoy it. But horror, man, coming back and taking the spotlight and just them going the TV show route could benefit them. I've said it a lot. It Welcome to Derry was so good for the franchise, and look at the feedback it got. People love it.
100%. I mean, and also I truly feel like even through all the media releases, we got a lot of IP stuff. We had a lot of stuff that is genre movies. Like there was so much originality in this year.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking about my really big pick. All of our number one picks for the year were all original movies. Weapons, Sinners, and Marty Supreme, all original films. And I also feel like a lot of the other movies that are my favorites of the year, like Park Chan-wook's No Other Choice just came out. That was phenomenal. Such a good movie. You got Garland's Warfare was also really good. You got Bring Her Back came out this year. Like this was such a good year for original movies. We can't I gotta mention one battle after another came out this year. Paul Thomas Anderson film, and it was phenomenal. So good.
Yeah, I think Begonia as well. There's some crazy good movies this year. Even like quieter films like Rental Family and things like that. Like there was a great just mix of everything this year. And I will say, I'm happy to say I think most of my favorites were original films. And yet we still had good comic book movies. We still had good, IP. Like I didn't love Jurassic World like you said, but I did love Avatar. We got Frankenstein this year, which is, obviously more of a remake, but it was still a really very well crafted film. I will say another really good release from Netflix, Wake Up Dead Man. We've gotten a lot of good movies this year.
And there's definitely some we're forgetting, but that just shows you like the quality we got this year. And
Oh,
I'm
we
happy.
haven't even mentioned a lot of TV. There's so much.
Oh,
I mean,
Severance, I mean,
Severance, The Pit. There's
Smiling
so
Friends
many.
is kind of reviving the adult comedy animation genre. I
Yeah,
mean,
but seeing how people have gravitated a show with such absurdist humor has been such like it, even way more absurd than Rick and Morty
and
ever got. It's
100%.
very interesting to see.
I was on that show since day one, and I remember when it first came out, like it did not have the traction it has now,
Yeah,
and
it has definitely gained a lot of followers
each
this
season
year.
has gone better. I mean, the Chair Company I thought was pretty funny too.
Yeah, no, that was a great. I mean, also very original too. Like, I'm just happy Tim Robinson had a huge spotlight this year. I
Yeah,
think between
deserved it.
Friendship and the Chair Company, it's like, yeah, like finally people are really. I mean, he's had a following, of course, with I think you should leave. He's a very acquired taste, but I'm happy he has more of a spotlight for people to see that and kind of figure out if they like his humor. Which is like, I get it if you don't, but for me, it works. It works a lot.
It definitely does. I just think this year all around was great. And, January is usually the dump off for a lot of content. But, dude, the fact they're starting off with Stranger Things right off the bat
Not
is.
even. We're getting 28. We're getting even more than Stranger Things.
Yeah,
We're getting
going to that
28
ball.
years later, which is getting rave reviews. I'm very excited for that now. There's a few. That the zombie movie Daisy Ridley looks very interesting. There's some
Yeah.
January releases this year that I'm actually like intrigued to see.
I hope it does well because I would like to see the year start off great. Usually it's a lot of forgettable content, but
Yeah,
it might
January is
not.
known as the slog month. It's always been that way, but I'm very intrigued by a few of the releases. And I will say, I will say, on top of this year being, a lot of, new stuff, we got a lot of great re-releases in theaters that I love to go see, and I think a lot of people really showed up to certain of these things, especially the IMAX re-releases. I saw The Shining the other day, and it was right after it Welcome to Derry finished, so everyone was kind of reacting to Halloran and a few of the aspects like that. It was really awesome to see that, and I gotta say, seeing a Kubrick film in IMAX was definitely one of the highlights in theaters this year for me.
Yeah, this year just
Yeah, we
man.
even had the Revenge of the Sith re-release. It was
Yeah, I mean, a
incredible.
lot of things were released this year. I didn't get to see TMNT. I got to see Star Wars in theaters. I mean,
Yeah,
there's a lot of movies that came out. Back to Future came back.
yeah. Back to the
I
Future.
hate to say it, I
Great.
didn't like it, but didn't the Karate Kid also come out? The new one?
Well, yeah, that was one of the bigger letdowns from the
Yeah,
year.
it
I
was.
will
But I
say, but
mean,
yes, there was a new Karate Kid.
that was another franchise that came back. Just back to talk
Yeah, they
about.
were kind of riding the coattails of Cobra Kai, though. I'm not gonna lie, that movie was just like. It will say there's actually some decent talent in the Karate Kid movie. I really like Ben Wang. I think he's got a good future ahead of him. He was really good in Karate Kid and The Long Walk this year. So the kid's got a good future, I think. But the film itself and how it was crafted was just so poor. It kind of felt like you were watching like TikTok videos, which is just terrible for me to say about a movie. But
Yeah.
yeah, it was not a well crafted movie,
Yeah.
like at
I
all.
mean,
It
I
was
got
genuinely
FNAF.
just made for money, and it's
I
very
got
evident.
FNAF too, so I won at the end of the year. That's how I look at it.
Yeah. But overall, I mean, this was such a phenomenal year for media. I know I keep using that word, but like it's true. This was such a big year where it's like we got a little bit of everything. We're kind of seeing a resurgence in genres that I think kind of need it. I mean, you know how big of a horror fan I am. I'm so happy to see it. We're getting horror films from some of the best filmmakers working in the industry,
It's flourishing.
and
It really
yeah,
is.
it's awesome.
Yeah, I think we're going to even see, horror actually represented kind of, an award season this year. If Amy Madigan, I think, is going to get a nomination, I'd assume. And if she doesn't, that kind of shows the negativity they have towards horror and giving it the credit it deserves.
I think that they got to start going the route. I mean, after seeing It Welcome to Dairy, I think I just have such a different perspective on horror, and because of Sinners and even Weapons, I feel like I had such a
Those are good projects to bring people into horror too, because
no,
they have good
100%.
moments of levity and good characters that are you want to see what happens to them.
Yeah, it
I will
definitely
say I always said it Welcome to Dairy really surprised me with their characters
it
and
definitely
Sinners. That ensemble just incredible. Like
yeah
it just helps sell the movie, and I think there's a big reason why the ending really hits. But yeah,
yeah
I think going into 2026, I'm very excited for horror. Not really just horror, but everything coming. I think there's a few things that obviously we mentioned, Doomsday stuff like that. I'm not really dying to see,
you
but
know
I'm definitely intrigued to see how it comes out.
horror is going to be interesting because we're getting so many different types of horror. I just want to point this out because we talked about it earlier, but Clayface being a horror superhero film is
Yeah, it's exciting.
great. In
2027 though, right?
that's is it end of 26 or beginning of
I
27?
think they're about to hand the first like draft or the first like actual full like draft of it into DC Studios.
Okay, I
So like,
couldn't remember. I just know they were recording it.
oh, as of now, I think Clayface actually is expected 2026 though. That's pretty crazy. So we may, I got to backtrack on that. It looks like by September we might have the Clayface film. So I guess two films for this year for DCU. Very interesting because they'd be two wildly different things, and that's what I was always excited about James Gunn doing,
And we
bringing
have
in a bunch of different
shows.
creators to have different voices for different characters.
Yeah, and then we have three shows, with DC with all different tones: Creature Commandos, the Mister Miracle Show, and Lanterns. So
Very excited with Lanterns, with Damon Lindelof being involved. I'm a huge Lost fan, even a huge fan of what he did with Watchmen. I
yeah,
think another collaboration with him in DC is going to be killer.
yeah,
But yeah,
and
I think I'm really looking forward to 2026. Again, 2025 was just incredible. I mean, at least in our opinions, what did you guys all think? What was your guys' favorite, releases of this year? There were so many. Obviously, we missed a few. But for Give Me Rent, we'll see y'all next time.